Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Before we get started with the webinar, we wanted to remind you that registration is required to complete your attendance quiz at the end of today's session and to be eligible for a digital badge. You only need to register for the series one time, so if you have already registered for Series 24, no further action is needed. For those of you who have not registered, you can do so by using the link provided in the chat box and then follow the steps listed on the slide. Today's webinar will begin in just a few minutes. We'll see you soon. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth session in American English Live Series 24. We are so excited that each of you are here with us today. My name is Chris, and I'll be with you today, along with my colleague behind the scenes, Havid, who will be the moderator, helping answer your questions and responding to your comments during the session. So we have one event recording note. So we wanted to let you know that today's session will be recorded and shared across various platforms. By attending and adding your comments to the chat section during today's webinar, your first name, country, and/or comment may be included in the video recording. By participating, you consent to your appearance in the recording and its use for purposes related to work or business of FHI 360 and the U.S. Department of State. If you do not want to appear in the recording, please do not share any comments in the chat box during the live webinar. So here's what to expect today. Throughout Series 24, we are exploring a variety of topics related to teaching English through American media, games, and creative activities in celebration of the United States' 250th birthday. We hope you're able to use the practical ideas that we share. So here's what to expect today. The session is about 60 minutes long. The presenter will present the material, and I, as your host, will ask questions and make comments too. But we really hope to hear from you, our audience, so we can address your ideas and experiences. So please share your thoughts using the chat box. And now for today's webinar, Game On, Adapting Popular Media and Games for the English Language Classroom. This interactive webinar explores how EFL teachers can harness the motivational power of popular American media and familiar games to create engaging language learning experiences. Participants will discover how to turn everything from reality TV formats to classic board games into engaging learning opportunities that help students explore authentic aspects of American daily life and language. Through hands-on demonstrations and collaborative planning, participants will leave with practical, ready-to-use techniques that work across a wide range of teaching contexts and technology levels. And we are pleased to introduce our presenter, Gracie Alley. Gracie serves as Associate Director of Education at TESOL International Association, where she leads curriculum development and delivers professional development globally. She is also a doctoral candidate in educational practice and leadership at the University of North Dakota. Gracie spent nearly a decade in Ecuador, where she served as an ESL teacher, program coordinator, and translator at Escuela Policía Nacional, and led Ecuador Habla Inglés program through a U.S. Embassy grant. Gracie specializes in universal design for learning, online pedagogy, and instruction for multilingual learners. Her research focuses on teacher knowledge and dispositions for creating supportive English learning environments. Gracie is fluent in English and Spanish and holds certifications in TESOL methodology and UDL implementation. Welcome, Gracie. We're so happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's wonderful to be here. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for Game On, Adapting Popular Media and Games for English Language Classrooms. I am so happy to be with you. First, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I live and work in Washington, D.C., and I also grew up here. And here is a fun fact. I was born in the United States, but not in any of the 50 states. Can anyone guess why? It's because Washington, D.C. is actually not a state. It's a special area called a federal district, and it's the capital of the country. On the screen, there are two pictures that I took of my city while on my morning runs. I love Washington, D.C. And I love sharing this fact because it always makes people stop and think for a moment. And that is exactly what good games and media can do in our classrooms. They make students curious. They make them think. They make them want to talk. And that is what today is all about. Before we start, let me tell you what we're going to do today together. First, we'll talk about why games are so great for language learning. And next, we will look at 3 games, a quiz show format, a card game, and a drawing and passing game. Each one is different. They all help build language skills, and they all work with little or no technology. All of these games are games that I have played in my classes before, and the students love. When I am looking for ways to engage my students in different ways, I think about games, shows that I enjoy, and that I know they enjoy, and I look for ways that they could be brought into the classroom. Do they encourage specific language practice? Can I adapt them to support my learning objectives? So, why games? I know some of you may be thinking games sound fun, but my class has a real curriculum to cover. I hear that, and I want to address that right away because the research is very clear. Research shows that games help students learn because they provide 4 conditions the brain needs to acquire language: challenge, curiosity, control, and a low pressure context. These are not just nice to have extras. These are great conditions for learning. Stephen Krashen introduced something called the effective filter hypothesis. And here is what that means. When students are anxious or afraid of making mistakes, a wall goes up inside of them and language cannot get in. Games can help bring that wall down. And here's what that means practically for you as teachers. The time you spend on a game is not time away from your lesson. It's time spent creating the conditions students need to actually absorb and learn to use the language. The game is the lesson. All three games that we'll see today can connect directly to your existing curriculum, work at any level, and need little to no technology. I will show you exactly how I use each one. So, are you ready? Let's go. So, I have a question to get us going, and I want you to share in the chat. What are some challenges you face when wanting to use games in your classroom? We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, everybody, we'd love to hear from you as always. So, as Gracie just said, it's your turn. So, what are some of the challenges that you have when you're using games in the classroom? Remember to put them in the chat and we'll share them with you. And Gracie, as we're letting our wonderful audience think of those, I just want to say lots of people are saying welcome to you in our audience over on YouTube. Everyone's saying welcome, Gracie. So happy to have you here.
Oh,
Everyone's
thank
excited
you.
for today's
Wonderful.
session. So lots of great things are coming through. Lots of people are very happy. Let's see what people are saying about some of the challenges that they face using games in the classroom. Let's see here. We have another person saying that the kind of game is kind of finding the time within the class is kind of difficult for one teacher. That's very true. You almost have to carve out some time to use some games. Some other challenges include just general classroom management issues, just spacing and the setting of the classroom. Sometimes chairs could be fixed or desks could be fixed to the floor in certain teaching environments. Um, Another teacher says sometimes students just aren't in the mood to play games, which is can be surprising. But yeah, I'm seeing lots more of mood setting or playing games. One teacher says Eden Corrupt says it can become chaotic, especially when students are hyped, maybe like after lunch, perhaps. Um, yeah, so lots of students, and then here's from Rebecca. She says some students might think playing games might be childish. So it does sound
Mm.
like our teachers, our audience do have challenges playing games in their classroom. So we'll pass it back over to you, Gracie. Thanks, everybody. Keep those comments coming throughout today's webinar.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Okay, so these are challenges around the world that all teachers share, and they're completely normal. Finding time to prepare, finding time in the lesson, helping classroom management, connecting games to our language goals, managing students who maybe are at different levels, or if you have different technology access. And here's the good news: every game I'm sharing today was designed with these challenges in mind. They're easy to prepare, flexible, easy to adjust to your classroom setting. And I'm going to show you exactly how to connect each game to a curriculum that you're already teaching. So with that said, let's go ahead and start with part one. Okay, so our first game comes from a very famous American TV show, and here is how it works. You choose a category, you choose a point value, and you give your answer. Some of you might have used this type of game in your classroom before. This format has been on American TV for many years. So let me show you how you could use it in your English classroom. In the game, there is a board like the one on the screen with categories and point values. Students get in teams and choose a category and a point value. They can do this standing, sitting at their desk in a circle. Once they choose, they must answer a question. For example, a student might choose the category modals for 100 points. The teacher then gives them the question or the prompt: use could in a sentence. The student thinks for a minute or talks to their team and they say, I could bake a cake. They used it correctly, so they win 100 points. So, why does this work well for language learning? For three reasons mainly. It builds vocabulary in context. Students see words in real clues, not just word lists or just on a worksheet. It creates friendly competition. A little competition can help students focus and remember more. And together, these things make it a communicative activity. Students are producing and using language with each other, talking to their teammates, thinking about what they want to say, not just listening to the teacher or filling out a worksheet. The key is to choose the categories that match your language goals. Are you reviewing a food unit, food vocabulary? Your categories could be foods that are sweet, or cooking verbs, or kitchen tools. Are you practicing grammar? Your categories could be the simple past, or comparatives, or modal verbs. This game works for almost any topic. And you don't need any technology to play this game. There are two versions, a low tech and a high tech. So let me show you both. The low tech version is simple, like the one on the screen. You can draw a grid on your whiteboard, your chalkboard, or a piece of paper with categories across the top and point values down the side, 100, 200, 300, etc. You can then write the questions for each category on a and point value on a piece of paper or a note card that you don't show the students. This is for the teacher. So that when the teams take turns and choose a category and point value, you can read the question, the students answer, the correct answer. If they get the answer correct, they get the points. If it's not correct, the next team can try. No devices needed, no internet. So let's take a look at the high-tech version. There's a sample here on the screen of what it can look like. High-tech versions can use free online tools listed later on my resources slide, where you can type in the different categories. And if you have technology in your classroom, you can project it onto the screen or share a computer screen with the students if you have that available. Again, I have some free versions of that listed in my resources slide later. Okay, so Chris, you're going to be my student. Imagine
Sounds
the
good.
board is up on the imagine this board's up on the screen. You're ready to go. Your categories are vocabulary or city vocabulary, simple past, and present tense. The point values are here. What category and point value do you want to choose?
Let's see, Gracie. I would like to choose city vocabulary for 200, please.
Ooh, so I look in my paper, I see CD vocabulary 200, and I say, Chris, where is it safe for people to cross the street in traffic? Where is it safe?
What is a crosswalk?
Beautiful. 200 points for Chris. So Chris got the answer correct. Our city vocabulary word was crosswalk. So then his team would receive those points, and then the next team would go choose their category and their points. You see how natural that felt. Chris did not need any special instructions. He thought about the vocabulary. He knew if he had a teammate, maybe they would be discussing back and forth. And this is the power of this familiar game format. Okay, so think about a unit or topic that you're currently teaching or have taught before. What might your categories be? Just picture the vocabulary list, think about the grammar. Those categories are already there. You do not need to invent anything new. The game is your delivery vehicle, the curriculum is the content. So now we want to hear from you. What language skill or topic would you use this quiz show game to practice?
Yes, everybody, it's your turn once again. You know how we love to involve you, our wonderful audience. So Gracie would like to know what language skill or topic would you use in this quiz show game to practice? And Gracie, why our audience is sharing their ideas, I just want to share a couple comments. We had a nice comment coming from Michael Sylvester, who says, basically at the top of the webinar, he's talking about to manage limited resources in his classroom. So Michael says to manage those limited resources, He adapts simple, low preparation games that require minimal material, such as word games or speaking challenges. So thank you, Michael, for sharing
Beautiful.
that comment. So let's see, Gracie, we've got some people here saying some challenges, or excuse me, some language skills or topics they would use would be speaking skills. Um, that is Babu Kar here in our room. We have another teacher saying just lots of speaking skills. Computer mediated communication topics. Ooh, that's a fancy one.
Ooh.
Um, we have, I'm looking over on our comments over on YouTube. A teacher is saying that we can review grammar and vocabulary, verb tenses, idioms, grammar, modules. So lots of different language skills teachers are identifying that they could use for this quiz show game. Let's see, we have a couple more. Yeah, just people are saying, like many things that you said, the four skills, listening skills, speaking skills, talking about food or music, furniture. We have Diana saying traveling or means of transport. I like that one. That's a very popular one. So yeah, lots of great ideas that our teachers would use for this game. Thank you so much, everybody. Keep them coming. And back over to
Yeah,
you,
thank you.
Gracie.
Thank you, everyone, so much. It really works for any and all topics. So thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so we're going to move on to our second game. Our second game is a card game that many of your students might already know. It uses two sets of cards. You see them here on the screen: adjective cards and noun cards. Players compete to make the most interesting or fitting combination. So here on the screen, you can see the green adjective card was unexpected, which is surprising, amazing, sudden. And someone said avalanches, definitely unexpected. And then someone else said Bigfoot, definitely unexpected, at least for me. So let me show you how you can use this game or adapt it to a language learning setting. So in the original game, one player, the dealer at the time, draws a green adjective card. For example, the word might be dangerous. And all the other players look at their cards and decide, which card do I have that goes best with that adjective? Maybe someone puts down my homework. Maybe someone says the school cafeteria. So then that person who chose the card first, the judge, decides which one they think is the best or most creative answer. And then that player wins a round. So, why does this work for language learning? And how can we adapt it? It makes students think carefully about what words mean, what the prompt or the question is, and how they want to respond. And then maybe how to explain their choice. So on the first screen, we saw unexpected, and someone put avalanches. So maybe they try to explain why they chose avalanches and engage in a conversation. You'll hear students saying things like, I chose this because, or I think it's this fits because. That kind of reasoning and discussion is very valuable. This is also a sociocultural activity. Students are learning together through social interaction, building meaning together, using English in a real social context. You can adapt the cards for any language goal. For example, for vocabulary, the target words, you could use the adjectives that you're learning, like gorgeous, beautiful, interesting. For grammar, you could create sentence starters as the prompt cards and grammar structures, asking students to use the connector and in a sentence. The game stays the same, only the content changes, and you can create the cards. So, making your own cards might sound a little hard, but here's the best part. You can make your own cards with almost no materials. Index cards, note cards, small pieces of paper work perfectly. I create these cards and then I save them so I don't have to create them again. The cards are fully customizable. This is what we call differentiation, meaning you adjust the activity to meet students at their level. For students with lower language proficiency, use simpler vocabulary and maybe add pictures. For more advanced learners, you could have idioms, academic vocabulary, or complex grammar. It's the same game, different cards at different levels.
Gracie, before we play, we got some great comments coming in that I'd like to share
Yes.
with you from our audience. So yeah, people are just saying, oh yeah, I use these games are very similar games for grammar and vocab, but now this Brad is saying, thanks, Gracie. Now we'll focus on all these skills that you're demonstrating. So that's great. We have
Beautiful.
another audience member just saying, this is amazing. I do something similar, but this teacher uses it with scrambled words on the board. I like that. That's very nice.
Ooh, very cool.
And then we have another teacher in our audience just saying, very nice. You've got me thinking about not only words to play this game, but maybe using sentences or conditionals, connectors, etc. So lots of great ideas. So another teacher saying, yeah, we've tried this in a couple different versions. We'll also try this version. So everyone's super excited. So I think we're probably ready to play.
Wonderful. Awesome. So, Chris, you are my student again.
Love it.
I'm going to be your judge. So, I'll read the prompt card. Okay. So, your
Okay.
job is to come up with an answer,
Okay.
anything at all that fits the prompt. Okay. So, let me
Okay.
get my card. Ready? Your prompt is use more than in a sentence. Use more than.
Use more than in a sentence. Um, do they have to be connected? Can I say Washington, D.C. has more cherry blossoms than Philadelphia?
Ooh, that's beautiful. And this is a perfect example of differentiation. If Chris has a higher level of English proficiency, he could know he can separate those words out. Whereas a student who maybe is newer to the language classroom might keep them together. So it allows everyone to play the game, regardless of where they are in their language learning. So yeah, that's a great one. So what made you choose that? Why'd you choose that example?
Well, I was just thinking, Gracie, you and I are both here in Washington, D.C., and the cherry blossoms just came out, and it's springtime. And I was thinking of another close and famous city of Philadelphia. So I thought Washington, D.C. has more cherry blossoms than Philadelphia does. So I was trying to connect it with what's actually happening in our lives.
Beautiful. I love it. So here on the screen is another example of grammar because we talked to some of you are sharing that you've used this with vocabulary, but maybe haven't tried it with grammar or longer sentences. You can easily do that. Have the students flip a card using if then in a sentence would be another great example of a grammar focus for this game. So here on the screen are just a couple student samples that this is what it looks like when I've used it in my own class. I normally use strips of paper and I write out all the grammar or the vocabulary prompts. Again, I save them in a little bag so that the next time I teach this lesson, I don't have to recreate them. So here are some examples using I would rather. The student wrote, I would rather eat cake. Same. Uh, Another one was my favorite sport is. Someone wrote, my favorite sport is running. And a great thing about this is not only is this reusable, but you can collect what the students have written. If you're wanting to kind of keep an eye on things, if we don't have the space in our classroom to walk around and weave between students while they're working on this, because a lot of us sometimes work in very crowded classrooms and there's not time or space to walk around, you can ask the students to give these to you at the end of the activity. And then you can just kind of look through them and see what were students saying and notice if there's anything that you want to reteach the next day, if you're noticing anything that students are struggling with. Okay, so curriculum connection. Again, think about the vocabulary or grammar that you are working with right now. Picture those target words, picture the grammar. Those become your cards. You don't need to think outside the box. You can just take them from your curriculum if you want. No extra prep needed beyond writing them down on pieces of paper for the students. So again, we would love to hear from you. What are you thinking about? What grammar point or vocabulary topic would you target or use with this card game?
Yeah, everybody, think about the card game that Gracie just introduced to us. And how about you in your classroom? What grammar point or vocabulary topic would you like to focus on or target by using this card game in your classroom? So please, as usual, let us know in the comments. So yeah, Gracie, lots of people are just giving positive comments, just saying really useful. Thank you so much for sharing. These are all great tips. So yeah, everyone's super excited. Um, let's see, we've got one teacher. Let's see, we're saying higher grace is saying for comparative or superlatives. That's wonderful. That's a topic that they would work on. Um, let's see, just yeah, lots of people are just super excited. Um, we have got someone here in our room just saying, asking for requests for my students in welding. So very much like English for specific purposes. I like that. Um, we've got another teacher just saying maybe using for family words or different vocabulary groupings like family or travel or animals, depending on the language level. Another teacher is pointing out, yeah, it really just depends on the level of your students of like which topic you would use. So absolutely. Um, let's see. Yeah, other teachers are saying, a good way to introduce or use this game would be to use prepositions in teaching prepositions or kind of focus on prepositions in, on, at, next to, under, etc. Um, Another teacher in our audience is saying that they would focus on the different types of sentences, which is very good. Lots of teachers are saying just focusing on the tenses, past tense, present tense, future tense. We've got Chan Shin saying comparatives, sentence completion. We have Brad saying gerunds and infinitives. So yeah, as usual, Gracie, our audience is very active and they're really excited about using this game and what they would focus it on. So thank you so much, audience. Keep them coming throughout the webinar. Back over to you, Gracie.
Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, you can really adapt it to your content, your students, your setting. And what's beautiful about it is the students are working together in groups. Everyone is participating at the same time, and they're engaging with each other and practicing a target language, vocabulary, or grammar. So it can be really beneficial. Again, the game is not extra, the game can become part of your lesson and part of the goal. Okay, so we're moving on to our third game, which is one of my personal favorites. I was inspired by this game with some of my friends in high school. We used to play this, and I found a way to bring it into my classroom. This is really great, especially for nervous students or large classes. It can combine two classic games, a drawing game where you draw pictures and teammates guess the words, and a passing game where a message changes as it moves from person to person. So this game combines drawing and passing. It goes in a very simple rhythm. Students write, and then they draw, and then they write, and then they draw. When we will be demonstrating what this looks like. It can target vocabulary, grammar, reading comprehension, listening comprehension, anything you are like, anything you would like. It needs no technology, just paper and pencils. Okay, so it's a little confusing to look at. So we're going to start by playing it first and then look at some student samples. So Chris, you are going to be my student again. On the screen is my target vocabulary for my class. We're doing
Okay.
city vocabulary, so I want this to be my goal. So take a minute, look at the screen, look at our
Yep.
vocab words.
Alrighty. Yep. Looking at our
Okay,
city vocabulary words. Just to make sure
beautiful.
I have them all correct, it's office building, road, traffic light, traffic, bus, city, crosswalk, and sidewalk, correct?
Perfect. Yes, those are our words. So I want you to choose any of these words and write a sentence using that. But don't tell anyone what it is. You're just going to keep it to yourself and message it just to me.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Let
right,
me
I
know when
chose
you're
a word.
ready.
All right, I chose a word. Give me 1 second. I'll send it over to you in the chat.
Perfect.
Okay, send. You should have it now.
I do. So Chris has now written his sentence using a target vocabulary. He would then pass the paper to me with his sentence, like he just did. And it's my turn to draw a picture of what he wrote. So give me 1 second. Let me draw my picture. I always give students 60 seconds only. And I do that because some students get nervous. They're like, I'm not a good drawer. I'm not good at pictures. And I tell them, no one is good at pictures in 60 seconds. Even if you're a really good artist, all of us are going to do a very basic picture. So we have 60 seconds to draw our picture. So for all of you in the audience, I'm going to hold up my picture of Chris's sentence to the camera and give you a little bit of time to look at it, and then you write, what do you think Chris's sentence was? Okay, so you're going to see the picture and try and think and share in the chat. What do you think the sentence was that Chris sent to me? So here is my picture.
Ooh, you are a good artist, though, Gracie. That's really good. That's really good.
So
Yeah, Pete.
remember, it's a whole sentence.
Yeah, so not just the one word, correct, Gracie? Our audience needs
Yes,
to figure out the sentence that I wrote.
yes.
I'll
So
give
what
them a
was
hint.
this sentence?
It's a very simple sentence, everybody. I'll give you a hint.
And there's no real right or wrong answers. That's the beauty of this. It's not you don't have to be perfect. So what do you think the sentence was that inspired this picture?
Let's see. Some comments are coming in, Gracie. We do have someone saying, "Oh, this is so cute." This also
Thank you.
allows, yeah, people love this game. It's so cute, and it says, "Oh, this is awesome for students to be more creative or that have creativity." It's wonderful. Um, let's see. We do have some people. We have English with Bomb is saying, "Students go to school by bus." That's a good
Ooh, that is a
guess.
good one.
We do have another comment coming in just from another teacher just saying, as you pointed out, Gracie, that challenging art can be challenging, or some students that are shy. Um, so this is sometimes it can be challenging, but they think their students would be able to adapt. We do have people identifying the word, or the vocabulary word. So remember, everybody, try to think of the full sentence that I shared with Gracie, not just the word. I'm seeing some of you put it in. So we do have Rolf is saying, here's Rolf's sentence. There is a bus in the city passing by an office building. Very good. That's even more
Ooh,
complex sentence than the one that I
yes.
came up with, Rolf. Then we have let's see. Mona Lisa Dallas is saying, I took a bus to reach the office building to be on time. And
Ooh,
then we have
very
Walter
good.
is saying, a bus has driven by an office building on a sunny day. Yes, very good, Walter.
Beautiful.
Let's
These
see. We have
are
a few.
fabulous. Keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah. We have. I want to make sure the people that
Yeah,
are
I'll
commenting, I
hold it
want
up
to
a little
share.
longer.
Yeah, no, I think you're good. You don't have to hold it up.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good, Gracie. You're good. Let's see. Just yeah, Ruzi is saying I rode the bus into the city. Um, it's a sunny day. I take the bus to school. I took the bus to reach the office building. I drove the bus through the
Ooh,
city. I love traveling by bus. The bus passed by the tall office building along the busy road. There's a bus in front of the office building. Yeah, so now they're all coming in. I think everyone's got it. Everyone's pretty close, Gracie.
beautiful, beautiful. So in the game, we would then have the first sentence hidden. You would see the picture, write your sentence, and we would keep going. So, Chris, we're going to show what this looks like, but first, tell them what was your sentence?
My sentence was very simple, Gracie. It was just the bus is on the road.
The bus is on the road. Again, this is an example where you can have a classroom of mixed language proficiencies and everyone can participate. Chris can write a sentence, the bus is on the road. And then, like Walter in the chat shared, a bus has driven by an office building on a sunny day. A lot more like vocabulary used, a little more specific, but we're all playing together. We're all playing together. And where we are in our language learning journey is okay. It's totally great. And we can interact together. So thank you so much. We're going to take a look at what the full game would look like. So as you guys saw, Chris wrote a sentence. The first student writes a target word, a sentence, a phrase. If you're teaching, beginners, maybe it's just a word. Maybe it's cake or spoon, and they just are using single word vocabulary. If you have students with higher language proficiency, maybe it's a more complex sentence. The example here that I chose for today was the house is big and has windows. After the student writes a sentence, like Chris did, they give it to their next classmate. They pass it on. Student 2, who was me in this scenario, draws a picture of the word. Or the sentence. They read the sentence or the word and they draw a picture. My example was this right here. So then the student has drawn their picture. We then move to our next step. The next step is where it get a little complicated. I admit it takes students a minute the first time you play this game to fully understand. So you have to go slow the first time. You then fold the picture so the students only see that. You then fold the first sentence so you only see the picture. Just like all of you only saw my picture. You didn't see Chris's sentence, and then you had to guess what is next. So this person folded it, they looked at the first picture, and their new sentence was, there is a tree and a house. A little bit different than the original. And then they pass it. And the next time they pass it, they draw. So it's write, draw, write, draw. And then you just keep going. Again, the next person then writes a sentence about what they see. They look at the picture and they like, what do I think this picture is? And this student wrote, the sun is hot and the tree is big. So the sentence changed again. You continue folding, passing, writing, drawing until the paper is totally full and the chain is done. And then the students can unfold it and read what was the first sentence and what was the last sentence. How did they change? So just think, Chris's sentence was, what was it again, Chris? I'm sorry, the bus was on the road, I believe. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. The
Yes.
bus is on the road.
The bus is on the road was Chris's original sentence. And just with one picture, with one change, the sentence had already changed to, the bus has driven by an office building on a sunny day. Imagine how much it would have changed if we kept playing, if we had 5 or 6 different people adding pictures and then writing a sentence. So when they unfold it, the students are always laughing and sharing and being like, I didn't write that, or your picture looks funny, or having a good time connecting. And you can kind of see in this one, the house is big and has windows, turned into the sun is hot and the tree is big. So the house completely disappeared from the sentence somehow. They can get very creative. They can get very funny. You can collect these from your students. It's a very, very fun game. And
Yeah,
I will
Gracie,
say,
our audience
what?
thinks so too. Our audience thinks it's super fun too. Lots of comments coming in. Uh,
Great.
Brandita saying super cool, great, fantastic, fabulous, so creative. They're so excited to work with their students and kind of pull out their creativity and playing this fun and engaging game. And they'll be learning new vocabulary words and structure sentences. So the teachers are super happy. I love that concept you're talking about, how over after you write the word and draw, it totally changes. Like the house disappeared or the tree disappeared, or then students start making connections. They start thinking of other things and they start adding new words. It's really great. Everyone in our audience is really, really excited. It's super
Awesome.
creative.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited. And it's wonderful because, again, as a teacher, sometimes we're able to walk around and kind of listen in or see what people are doing to monitor our class. But sometimes that is impossible. And again, you can have students give these to you at the end, and then you can smile and laugh and have fun reading them later. I keep several of them, the ones that make me laugh the most. And in several classes, we would have part of our classroom wall be like the best ones, where the students would all decide who was the most creative or which one had the most funny change. Like, did a teacher become a giraffe in the sentence? What happened? And we would put them on the wall so that we could see them later. And it was like a celebration of our creativity and learning together.
That's so great, Gracie. That's awesome. So then it's like you can like the students take ownership and help decorating your classroom too, and it like makes the whole
Exactly.
environment like of all their work. That's super fun. That's really great.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, again, we're getting overflow or like tons of comments in the chat. People are just saying very positive, super creative, very amazing, great stuff, brilliant. Just can't wait to use this in their class. Ooh, we got Bob saying best webinar ever.
Oh,
Maybe too. Yeah.
yay.
Awesome.
And I
So I
will,
bet
I
you we
will
want to go for it.
Go
No,
ahead.
sorry, go
No,
for
yeah.
it.
I just wanted to add one last thing just in, advocating for this game, um, or games in general. I've had many students after an exam come to me and tell me that they remembered a vocab word because of this game, because their classmate drew a funny picture or because their sentence changed so much. So it's all about helping students make those connections in fun, meaningful ways. Because then when they're in maybe a stressful exam, they can their brains will remember and it can help them make those connections when it really is important on exams.
Yeah, some of our audience members are making these connections, Gracie, as you talked about at the beginning that you used to play this game with your girlfriends in high school and and you brought this into your classroom. We have one of our teachers saying that she's going to use this game with her own children as a parent, as a mother, as they're growing up to help them learn English. So I think that's
Oh,
wonderful.
wonderful.
Yeah, and just to adapt it to different themes. Yeah, just they would adapt it to different themes or different topics that they want to focus on teaching for their more advanced students. Whether, like, let's see, Brad is saying like, very much like environmental topics and things of that nature. So yeah, people are really, really excited for doing this. Yeah, people are kind of like making connections to like offshoots of this game or little add-ons or additions. So once again, our audience is super creative, but
I
thank you so
love
much.
that. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay, so again, a curriculum connection. Again, I want you to think, and some of you have already potentially started sharing in the chat these ideas. Think again about that vocabulary you're teaching or that's coming up. Those are the words you can use for step one. Like with Chris, I had that chart on the screen where he chose from the vocabulary list. You can use the same exact thing with your students. No extra planning, you just need the paper. So it's super simple to use with any curriculum anywhere.
Yeah, just a few more comments before you go on, Gracie. People are just saying Russ 939 saying this can be a great icebreaker or a bell ringer at the start of class to get them settled, or even at the end of class too, to kind of like an exit ticket as well, which is great. Um, we have Modi Creation is saying this is a super idea, especially to improve critical thinking. So that's a great contact too. And then yeah, the big one, yeah, people like awesome creative idea. Just really triggers creative thinking as well, and it helps just students kind of tap into their creativity. So it's awesome. Wonderful, wonderful comments, everybody. Thank you so much.
So once again, I would love to hear from you. If you haven't already shared, or if you shared and want to share it again, what vocabulary set or grammar topic would work well for this game? What might you use?
Yes, everyone, you're sharing wonderful comments in the chat, so keep them coming. So yeah, what other vocabulary sets or grammar topics would work well? Some of you have shared already. Let's see. We've got one teacher, Andrew Wong, is saying, Gracie, that for compound nouns, and they have a lesson next week on compound nouns. So they're thinking about using this game next week. And that's perfect, right? You wanted to give teachers activities that they can use immediately. So that's wonderful to hear. Yeah, lots of teachers are saying like, just different vocabulary sets, environmental, travel, food, family. Some other teachers are just saying depending on the level, of course. Um, but yeah, people are just really excited. Just very low resources, easy to do. All you need is a paper and a writing tool. Um, Adjectives another teacher is saying, or talking about celebrations or customs, or if you've got
Mm.
a multilingual class learning about other students, and then in all caps Nancy saying all kinds of vocabulary. So lots of different ideas. Thank you so much, everybody.
Beautiful. Thank you. This is wonderful. Okay, so we've covered a lot today in the past 45 minutes, and I want to bring it all together. We looked at the TV quiz show format, a structured, competitive game that builds vocabulary, grammar. You saw how you could connect it directly to any unit or topic you're currently teaching. We looked at a card game that's creative, discussion rich activity that targets grammar, vocabulary at any level. And you saw how to differentiate it for students with different proficiency levels. And then we looked at our drawing and passing game, an easy to use and easy to prepare, anxiety reducing activity that makes vocabulary practice fun and memorable. You saw how one word from your textbook can generate 10 minutes or more of authentic language use and lots of laughing. All three of these games have something in common. They take something students already enjoy and put language at the center. They work within your existing curriculum. They require little to no technology and are grounded in real research about how language learning actually happens. And that is the heart of what we do as English language teachers. We meet students where they are and help them grow. So you now have three tools to help you do exactly that, that you can use and take and adapt in any way that works best for you. So I want to leave you today with something concrete. Choose one game from today's session, whichever feels right for your classroom right now. And I know a lot of you were adding on how you would change it or adapt it. That's wonderful. Write one sentence in the chat. For example, I will use the drawing and passing game for a specific skill or topic with my students this week, this month, next unit. Share it in the chat so we can celebrate your plan together.
So yeah, nice comments coming in, Gracie. People are saying that I will implement them in my class as soon as possible. So lots of great ideas. People are really excited to implement these wonderful games that you shared with them today in their classes very soon. Let's see. Ooh, there's another teacher saying that I'm going to use the quiz game to review tenses with my students later this week. Wonderful. And just lots of people just saying they really enjoyed today's webinar, Gracie.
Wonderful. That makes me so happy. And if one, maybe some of you had an idea of a game you also love, a different game that maybe could be brought into your classroom. Get creative, see what you can bring in to really inspire our students to have, games and fun, extra fun when learning. Thank you so much for being here today. It has been a true joy sharing these ideas with you that I've done in my classes. My students have loved them. I love doing them. And remember, you don't have to try all three games at once. Start with one, maybe. Try it, see what happens, and then build from there. You can do this. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Gracie. I'll now just read a few more comments. People are just saying that they're going to use the quiz show game to review tenses today. We've got Blanche saying that they're going to use the drawing and passing game to teach past progressive uses today. So exciting that teachers are going to use these activities today in their classroom. So yes, wonderful,
Wonderful.
wonderful ideas, everybody. So thank you, Gracie. Thank you so much. Thank you for showing us all these great ideas. We really appreciate it. How to adapt these popular American media games to help learn English and explore authentic aspects of American daily life. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Gracie.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
And of course, we'd also like to thank you, our wonderful audience. Thanks for your great engagement and participation today. Please continue to share your ideas through social media or with your viewing groups after the session ends. So, yes, thank you, everybody. And so now you'll have an opportunity to receive a digital badge from our team here at American English for Educators. Registered participants complete a quiz in Canvas now. Remember that you must answer 2 out of 3 multiple choice questions correctly. Your eligibility to receive a digital badge is based on your first quiz submission score. So please take your time and make sure that you read each question carefully before submitting your quiz. If you successfully pass the quiz on your first attempt, you will get your badge immediately in Canvas. If you have not yet registered for AE Live Series 24, use the link being shared to register now. Remember to register for this series only one time. Once you complete the registration process, you will gain access to the Canvas course and then you complete your attendance quiz. So once again, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today for today's webinar with Gracie LA. We hope to see you at our next webinar on May 20th. And remember, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the American English YouTube channel and to turn on your notifications to receive alerts when we go live. Thanks again today, everybody, for your participation. We hope to see you next time on our webinar on May 20th. Take care. Bye now.